was lucky. I could interact with a lot of government people, railways, and that's how I would say I started learning a lot. Always believe in logistics, no news is bad news. And that's where what we realize, that if you are able to give a good forecasting, then everybody in the chain is able to plan well. I could make a difference, or I could make a career in logistics. You will not learn from any college, from any institute. So we sent them a message that, listen, there's a truck race on such and such date. I said, don't worry, tomorrow you will read it, because that's the number of people which die on Indian roads every day.
He's a friend, a philosopher, and a guide to the logistics industry, especially the auto logistics segment, and his experience is nothing short of a gold mine. Good morning, friends, and welcome to Trans India, Real People, Real Emotions. We are privileged to feature a man with over 3 decades of experience in multi-global organizations like HUL, Philips, and Tata Motors. He may have hung his boots from the corporate world, but he continues to share his vast experience, knowledge, and business acumen. We have with us Mr. Prem Verma, a certified independent director and a consultant to many, especially in the auto logistics segment, which was his forte for many years. He was the chairman of SIAM's Operation and Logistics Group for 9 years, which very well explains his insights into this segment. During this stint, he fostered collaboration between OEMs and 3PL to develop a working platform with Indian Railways for multi-modal logistics. Prem Verma is an ex-CEO of 2 Tata Group Companies and currently is a strategic advisor and mentor of leadership teams. He understands the logistics segment inside out and has a soft corner for truck drivers, the backbone of the logistics industry. Prem Verma is an industry veteran in sales, distribution, and logistics. As a founder and lead advisor at Prem Verma Advisory Services, he specializes in delivering bespoke consulting solutions designed to drive strategic growth and operational excellence. With a focus on the automotive industry, Prem Verma provides expert guidance to major players in distribution and logistics, helping them navigate complex challenges and optimize their supply chains. Sir, you've been in the logistics and distribution space for a long time, lot of experience. But before we get into that, how did you land up in this complicated field?
Okay, so let me just start from the beginning. And I've been a sales guy for a good 22 years, 23 years before I came into supply chain or logistics, whatever you want to call it. And that sales guy, when I say, it was various products, various organizations, fortunately all of them multinational. And I was also in the sales and marketing for Tata Motors, which was my last sales stint before I moved to logistics. And in 2008, my bosses in those days, without going into the names, I don't know, they thought that I could make a difference, or I could make a career in logistics. Initially, you can imagine the reaction of a sales guy who's been through and through a sales guy thinking, oh my God.
Where have been pushed?
Yes. But later on, I really started liking it. And then I realized and I've gone on record in various places where I've said, if you really ask me, anybody who goes into logistics, he should be picked up from sales. He has to be a guy of sales before. Only that guy will understand the pain points of salespeople, the dealers, distributors, customers. And he will also understand the frustration sometimes.
Right.
Because I know when we were there, whether you talk of any product, whether you talk of televisions or cars or whatever it is, imagine you have booked an order. And sometimes it's with great difficulty also, you have convinced the dealer. And the vehicle has been produced, product has been made in the factory, ready to dispatch, but just not reaching the guy. And see the frustration. frustration of the entire chain, sales chain. So then I realized, and I was really able to, see my own earlier days frustrations. And that's the time I decided, I said, listen, whatever I could, I don't know whether I was successful or not, but that's the reason, that's the time I thought that, okay, let me try to make a difference to it. And rest all, as they say, is history. I have been there, still now associated with the supply chain or logistics. Good almost 17, 18 years. And the other thing I also would like to say is that I was also very lucky. I started my logistics career, and SIAM was very helpful. Okay. My association with SIAM, although every OEM is associated.
Right.
You know SIAM.
Of course.
So within no time of me coming into logistics, I was made the chairman of the logistics group of SIAM. And that gave me a fantastic exposure with other OEMs also, which I wouldn't have got otherwise.
Absolutely.
Because we used to interact with the other OEMs, listen to their problems, even if those products which my organization is not dealing, but I used to know about.
Right.
Because there are a lot of commonality in the problems which everybody faces. And that also gave me a lot of scope. And I would say I was lucky I could interact with a lot of government people, railways. Mm-hmm. And that's how I would say I started learning a lot. And that's what I give a lot of credit. And my association with SIAM has played a very important role in, developing what I am today.
Right. But in the initial days in the logistics space, when you got in, what were the challenges you saw? I mean, what were the shortcomings?
See, we had all sorts of challenges. Now, the challenges, one, if you really go and ask any dealer or on a sales guy, कि तुम्हारे को क्या प्रॉब्लम है, his reaction will be, माल कब आएगा पता नहीं, आएगा नहीं आएगा कुछ नहीं पता. So then what we realized was that, they say, there's a word, say, no news is good news.
Good news, right.
And I always believe in logistics, no news is bad news.
Oh.
It is a bad news. Now, if I say that you have placed the order and you don't know anything, so what will you tell to other customers? Sir, don't worry, no news is good news because I don't know anything about it.
But sir, back in the days, there were no tracking facilities. You actually had no idea.
That's what I'm coming to.
Right.
So that's what, we started pinpointing the things which we need to improve. And then I would say all these things start with the forecasting. Yes. You can't just simply tell to a transporter or an LSP tomorrow that, listen, I want to send 10 vehicles to Patna. What will he do? He needs to plan. He needs to have the carriers with him. He needs to have the right drivers which are, used for those kind of things. And that's where we started learning from other OEMs also. Mm-hmm. So the first starting point, I would say, was the forecasting part.
Right.
Once the forecasting, even in the sales, started improving, then our own forecasting started improving. Because then we were able to tell with a lot of confidence to the drivers and the transporter that, listen, next week, please come. We will give you load for these destinations.
Okay.
Because, these carriers which are used in automobile, they can't be used for any other product. So which means they are basically for that purpose only. Right. And everything is dependent on the return load part. Today, if he's going from Pune to, let's say, north somewhere, Gurgaon or wherever it is, he needs a return load. Absolutely. He also needs to plan. And that's where what we realize that if you are able to give a good forecasting, then everybody in the chain is able to plan well. And that brought a lot of changes in it.
And efficiency goes up as well?
Exactly. Efficiency really improved because the stock which is lying anywhere in the system, I'm not saying whether it's lying in the company stockyard, transporter stockyard, any stockyard is a cost.
Absolutely.
Cost, even the stock on wheels is a cost.
Yes.
And somebody is paying for it. We normally don't get into the details that who is ultimately paying, but somebody
has to pay for that.
Because the cost of the product has to take it. So if you want to really reduce the cost, and there are various ways, you rightly said the efficiency. You bring in efficiency, you bring down the cost.
Absolutely.
So the wastage, efficiency, or whatever you want to give it a name, that's what we also worked on.
And so before we get into the solutions that you came up with, you had been selling trucks as well.
Yes.
So that's one side of the road. And then you came on the other side where you were actually, planning the dispatches, the same set of transporters to deal with. Did they catch hold of you? Now you need to give us the right freight. Did that happen?
Well, it did. The thing is, I was on the other side. But I would say that by and large, all these transporters, if you are able to, talk sense with them, because our problem is if you want to win every time, then you can't. So you have to leave something on the table for everybody.
Right.
So when you discuss with them and tell them, okay, because you can't say, listen, I'm not bothered. What are your problems? These are my problems. You do it or I'll get somebody else. These things don't work nowadays. It never used to work, but nowadays it doesn't work at all. You have to take everybody with you. So it was very clear that yes, but that also had a huge advantage for me. I never had to go and introduce myself that I'm so and so. That helped a lot, because by that time when I was heading the sales, I had always had good relationship with all these. They were all my big customers. Actually. Big means real big customers. Seriously. So tomorrow I didn't have to start from zero with them.
but I think some of the comfort zone was there, with you.
Yes.
That is what I believed. And that comfort zone helped them grow also.
Yes. You could say that.
Which otherwise would not have happened. I mean,
the right people will be the transporters to say yes or no for that.
But they said yes. Well, most of them have said yes on record. So,
that's very kind of him.
But once you got into this space, what kind of solutions did you bring in to make the system efficient most of all?
Okay, so one is the forecasting part, which I told, right, which was very, very critical. And if I can make a comment here, and without any political affinity, because I don't want to sound political, right. I think we people, all the logistics industry, not only automobile, logistics industry was blessed to have a guy at the helm of affairs in the Ministry of Road and Transport, who only dreams, eats, sleeps infrastructure. So I would say that logistics industry owes him hell of a lot.
I mean, he's called highwayman for the right reason.
He is gem of a person. I have had, because of the SIAM, I have had so many interactions with him. You go to him, go with a problem, he will listen to you. And the atmosphere is like as if you're gone to a company. It's not a mantralaya mein mantri ji se milne gaye hain. You go there, he will listen to you and he will see merit in this thing. He will ask you questions. Once he is convinced, then there's no
stopping him. Absolutely.
Just no looking back. So, all these things. Girish, you are a veteran in this. You know what were the sizes of the carriers which were there?
Yes.
Length, breadth,
exactly. There were no norms, in fact.
No norms. So, I don't call it downsize. I will say right sizing of these carriers. Who was responsible? He and the SIAM.
But do you also believe the car carriers came forward and said, okay, let's do this?
Yes and no. Few of them, yes.
Yeah,
of course, there was a lot of opposition to it also.
Yes.
And that is the time when the ministry stepped in and they said no, because you have to make the Indian roads safe.
Correct. And some regulations need to be there.
Yeah. In one of the conferences, I don't remember if you were there because we have moderated quite a few together. We were talking of the road safety. It was on road safety. And my opening remark was, I said, have you people read today's newspaper? It's a very stupid thing to start this thing. So naturally, a lot of people had nodded, 90% I would say. I said, do you remember the headline? I said, okay, I'll tell you. The headline was, a jumbo jet has crashed today. 430 people have died. So everybody said, they're just talking to each other, but we have not read it. I said, don't worry. Tomorrow you will read it, because that's the number of people which die on Indian roads every day.
Yes.
Every day they die. Nobody's bothered. Nobody knows what's happening because it's not impacting me. Till the time it doesn't impact me,
you don't care.
I'm not bothered. I don't care.
My grudge with road with road safety is we don't take it seriously at all. Even to date, I mean, you go on the roads, people are talking on phones, driving without helmets. I mean, it's a joke, really.
So I would say this infrastructure which got built, yes, it has certain minuses also. Now people don't know at what speed to drive and stop. But that you can't you can't.
You have pros and cons to
everything. The ministry can give you good roads, good infrastructure, and everything. Now the common sense they can't give it to everyone.
How to use it is in your hands, really.
So with the right sizing of the carrier and also the infrastructure which was built, that really helped us actually. Today, if you talk to some, and the GST, how can we forget that?
Absolutely, yes. That was a huge change.
Huge. It was, what GST did was people, you ask, one is people talk of GST. There are a lot of, there are pros and cons as you rightly said. But imagine you talk of anybody from logistics trade, he will say GST is a blessing. You travel from Delhi to even a place like Dehradun, or you want to call it Chandigarh, Agra, the number of toll nakas which are there, you will get stopped at every 30, 40 kilometers.
Yes.
Waste of time, waste of fuel. Nothing. Absolutely. Today, the people are talking of from Ludhiana to Bombay in less than 2 days.
Unimaginable back in the day.
36 hours that also people are committing. Even train can't do it.
Yes.
So it's unbelievable.
And I think one more thing that we are forgetting is at the same time while GST happened, roads got better, our trucks got better as well.
That's what I said, right sizing of the trucks.
Absolutely.
I'm not talking of the technology which the OEMs did. It's amazing what they did.
Yes.
There's no doubt about it. But, you are going to run, even if you have a fantastic vehicle, if the road is not good, it's going to have problems.
Absolutely.
So they all came together at the same time.
Yes.
Whether it's GST implementation, built of infrastructure, and the right sizing of the carriers, and the right vehicles which came by the courtesy, the OEMs.
Yes.
So it was a good blend of all these things.
Do you think, as on date, is transportation a profitable business?
Oh, if I will make any comment, the transporters will say, how does he know? Because he still doesn't know whether when the shoe comes on the other foot, we will take his reaction. But I would say yes. And very, emphatically, I would say yes.
If managed well?
Yes. It is the most important thing. If managed well, if people are still in the old mode, they're still thinking that 20 years back, what they did, and this is how they ran the business, and that's how they made money. Yes, they made money 20 years ago, of course. And that's why they said they will keep on continuing the same way. You know why the next generation was not coming? Because he realized everything is taken, the decision is taken by the loser, what we call Lalaji. So that Lalaji culture has also gone from the industry completely. Yes. I don't think there's anybody this thing, and it's all run by professionals now.
You cannot run a transport company that way.
You can't. Those days are
impossible.
So I think it's profitable. That's the reason more and more people are getting into it. But you very rightly said, and that any business, Girish, why you want to talk transportation?
No, because
dealership or anything or manufacturing or whatever is there.
Because the reason I said well managed is because back in the days, without managing well also, you could make a handsome profit.
You could.
But not anymore.
Because, you were not bothered. You were in a monopolistic situation.
Absolutely.
The customer will wait for 15 days. Now, does he wait? He is not going to wait. So when I was telling you that no news is good news, it's a old saying, but in logistics, I am a firm believer it's a bad news. As if I don't know when the vehicle is going to come. If the dealer says, "Ji, haan, maine aapka gaadi ka order de diya hai, I'll let you know." Today, the moment and I'm not talking of every organization, two-wheelers, anything, the moment the vehicle leaves the stockyard of the company or the stockyard, the plant yard of the company, the entire chain knows where is the vehicle. Even if it has just moved out of the gate of the company, he knows where the vehicle is. Till the time it has reached the dealer. So he can say, now listen, I'm making this comment for 98%, 99% because the vehicle can meet with an accident. Those kind of things, if you remove them, he can say with complete authenticity that you please come tomorrow in the evening and I'll give you the delivery of the vehicle. Imagine. So no, it's not a no news is good news. He is giving you the news. in logistics, in supply chain, you need to have very clear visibility of everything.
Absolutely.
Whether it is inbound or it is outbound. Everything is planned like that.
Sir, amidst all these changes happening, how much has technology played a role?
Huge.
And I think that's another major shift that has happened.
Huge.
So while we have GST and everything, the back-end tech and operations has been
huge. I still don't know about AI. People have started talking about it, that it's also going to play a big role. I don't think I'll be able to comment on that. But even this, when we were talking of these, coming of these portals and control towers and everything, it is all tech.
Absolutely.
And that's how the thing is. As I said, when it's not that the moment the vehicle leaves, somebody will make a call to the guy, "Gaadi nikal gaya," or he will say it has reached now this place. It's all technology. That I know that GPS is a very basic thing which was there 10 years ago, 15 years ago. Nobody, if today you ask for a vehicle, you don't have to ask the guy whether the GPS is there or not. You don't have to. It's everywhere. You don't have to ask whether the driver will be having a mobile or not. You don't have to ask anything. Right. And look, a small thing like EPOD. What used to happen? The driver will go, he'll go to deliver the vehicles, then he will take the POD, because if he has reached late in the night, he might not get it for next day, and tomorrow is a Sunday, he will not get it.
Right.
When I came into commercial vehicles, so somebody asked me in the interview, "How much do you know about the trucks?" And my response was that I know that your truck, which has 6 tires, that can take 48 color TVs, and the truck, which has 8 tires, can take 72 color TVs.
That's adequate knowledge.
So I said, that's the only thing which I know about, because I said when we used to supply to our distributors, so we used to ask the logistics guy, our guy who was in the yard. So we used to ask him, kitne chakke ke gaadiyan aayi hain? So you said there are 3 trucks of 6 wheels and there are 2 trucks. Then we used to generate the invoices accordingly. So I said, that's my only knowledge about the trucks.
And since you spoke about wheels, do you think the commercial vehicle industry has become very complex these days? You have a truck for at every 500 kgs or 1 ton point, so many models, so many variants. I mean, Tata Motors just launched 17 new trucks. 17 trucks together. Would you have imagined that back in the days?
Not. And I don't think I'll be commenting on that at all. But I only one thing to say, that I'm sure if any organization is launching these kind of range, I'm sure there's a demand. There's a need in the market.
Absolutely.
They've done their studies in the market, and they must be finding that there's a need in the market. And that's why any organization.
I mean, everybody's doing it now.
Everybody's doing it now. I was reading even their competition is also doing it.
Yes.
So everybody's doing it. And yes, in those days, we had never even thought, there were vehicles which we were selling for 8 years, 10 years, and then we were very happy with it.
Were you happy you're not selling today and you were selling back then? Would it have been
we don't know, difficult to say. I don't know. Instead of giving a wrong answer, I would prefer to say I don't know. I really don't know.
But talking about the transporters, when you came on the consultation side, what were the issues you felt needed to be addressed on a larger scale from an industry point of view?
By the transporters?
Yes.
So I would say, as I said in the beginning also, was that, there's something called, which I tell some of the big transporters also, that sometimes in life, you have to let it go. We discussed that if the same guy is going to be responsible for signing a check of 1,000 rupees and 1 crore of rupees, what will be the future of the company? Because there's something called management time. And that's what I used to discuss with them. I said, you can't be getting involved in each and everything. Give it to, yes, people might make a mistake, but then you have to budget for that inefficiency in the system. And plus, I have believed in one thing, that your biggest assets are your people. I've never been in HR, but I always believed in. Let me just, we will discuss about the driver thing. You remember we used to have those truck racing?
Yes.
You have attended also?
What an event.
What an event. So in one of the events, when I was still heading TMLD, it was decided that we need to start involving drivers in a very big way. And then it was a meeting took place, and then with certain decisions we took. Would you believe we sent almost 10,000 messages to all the drivers, because we used to have a fleet of some around 12, 13,000 car carriers.
Right.
We call them car carriers,
Yeah.
even if they carry small commercial vehicles.
Yes.
And we had the data with us. So we sent them a message that, listen, there's a truck race on such and such date. Your buses have been delivered to your owner, or Malik, whatever you want to call it. And we expect you to be there. And if there's any problem in that, please get back. So agency got back to me and said, get back to whom? Agency said, we can't take these calls. Would you believe? I said, okay, put my number.
Wow.
My number went to these drivers, and I used to get sometimes calls at the odd hours. And sometimes, in what state of mind the driver can be when he's calling you. But that's okay. So what happened? And I give a lot of credit to these transporters. I'll explain to you. On the day of the race, the pavilion which was opposite, it was only reserved for drivers, because the way we were getting the response,
It was packed.
2,500 drivers. Yes. And if I include the families, which means the children, wives, parents, everybody, they went mad. They were never treated like this. They were eating out of our palms.
Exactly.
Our chairman just went across and just waved to them, and that was enough for them. Can you imagine? Chairman? And that was you can't believe the impact it had. And look at my transporter, because we had a meeting with them.
Uh-huh.
And I sold this idea. I said, listen, we have done nothing for them except for lip service. And I'm not holier than thou, as if I've done a lot of things.
Yeah,
I said, let's do it. It will be a completely different experience for them. And they all agreed. People brought them from my transporter from Jaipur and other places. They brought them on buses.
In buses, yes, I remember.
Buses ke bahar banners lage hue hain, welcoming them and everything. You imagine the guys, they started early in the morning. They reached here, the breakfast and everything was arranged. We had arranged for the tea, snacks, lunch, everything. Everybody was given a gift. It's a small token of appreciation that you come all the way. And in the evening, after the tea and snack, they all went back and the transporters arranged for their dinner. Right. I give a lot of credit to transporters also in this. Imagine a driver away from duty is not only absent for one day. And it was a commitment which I took from my transporter. You will not cut his salary.
Okay.
That will be unfair. And the message was conveyed to them. You are on duty when you are coming for this race.
And plus, they would have to travel a day prior. Exactly. And then go back to wherever.
3 days of absence from the work.
Plus travel.
And transporters are ready for them. Yeah. I give credit to them to make it a success. Yes, idea was mooted by us, mooted by the organization. But the end of the day, if they wouldn't have done all these things which they did,
yes.
Even I'm not only talking because Jaipur, why I remember, because it's an effort. I can't expect people to come from Calcutta. That's okay. I knew it.
Of course. But at least nearby cities, yes.
Punjab, Jaipur, everywhere. Delhi, though, it was amazing response. So these, this is one thing which what we realized was that you need to treat them well. And they still remembered. We honored 25 of those drivers there.
In fact, when you got the Indian drivers to drive those trucks, I think that was the next big leap.
Yes, it was. So this is where I felt that, and then I said, okay, listen, you can't be only waiting for the race to really respect the drivers and honor the drivers. A lot of our transporters, they started doing these training programs. And those training programs are not only how to drive, because skill you can't teach him. The new vehicle, okay, still you can tell he knows better.
Right.
But then how safety is important for him. How, small things like savings are important. Telling him about the AIDS problem, this problem, right. How to look after the family and all those things. So a lot of things were done.
We will continue our interaction with Prem Verma on the other side of this very short break. You are watching Trans India, real people, real emotions.
मुझे ये बताते हुए बहुत खुशी हो रही है कि हमारी कंपनी पीके ट्रांसपोर्ट ने 300 नए ट्रक खरीद लिए हैं। यस। लेकिन सर, हमारी कंपनी ये ट्रक बेच कब रही है? क्या?
सर, मैं ट्रांसपोर्ट टुडे से हूँ। मार्केट में खबर है कि आपने 300 नए ट्रक्स खरीदे।
हाँ।
तो सर, ये ट्रक्स आप बेच कब रहे हैं?
कॉन्ग्रेचुलेशंस कुमार साहब, 300 ट्रक लिए हैं आपने, बधाई हो।
तो बेच कब रहे हो?
अरे भाई, हर कोई मुझसे ही क्यों पूछ रहा है कि मैं अपना ट्रक कब बेचूंगा? आपने भी तो ट्रक लिए हैं ना, आपसे कोई क्यों नहीं पूछ रहा?
क्योंकि आपने खरीदे ही हैं बेचने के लिए, तो लोग तो आप ही से पूछेंगे ना। मतलब ये कि मैंने खरीदे हैं महिंद्रा ब्लेजो, जो दे ज्यादा कमाई पहले दिन से साल दर साल, और ये दे किसी भी और ट्रक के मुकाबले 10% ज्यादा माइलेज, सर्विस और स्पेयर का खर्चा सबसे कम, 2 सर्विस गारंटीज और IMS टेलीमेटिक्स का भरोसा। तो कुमार साहब, मैंने ट्रक बेचने के लिए नहीं, I mean रीसेल वैल्यू के लिए नहीं, प्रॉफिट वैल्यू के लिए खरीदे हैं।
क्योंकि अब रीसेल हुआ पुराना, पहले दिन से प्रॉफिट कमाने का है जमाना।
तो कुमार साहब, सोच बदलो, तकदीर बदलेगी।
महिंद्रा ट्रक एंड बस, सोच बदलो, तकदीर बदलेगी।
Welcome back to Trans India. Real people, real emotions. We are in conversation with an industry veteran who holds a sea of knowledge and experience, Mr. Prem Verma. But do you think we are on the right track when we are looking to address driver shortage, or are we missing something here?
So we are missing a lot of things, Girish. Let me be very honest. As I said in the beginning, it's we all have. I've also done my share of lift service, and I'm not holier than thou. But unfortunately, whenever we talk of driver shortage, all the other industry people, they only look at auto people. Like you said in the beginning, the OEMs, they will only tell the OEMs, you are making vehicles, you are making carriers day in and day out. Who's going to provide the drivers? Well, that's not my responsibility alone. Right. That's the responsibility of everybody. Correct. Well, they don't only carry my vehicles in that. And this is one of the suggestions which I want to moot with you, which you said you have started it, but you need to collaborate. And if you can collaborate with the others, I am telling you, you would have done a human service. As itself, what you are doing is amazing, Girish. Tell me, by the way, has somebody ever interviewed you or no? You have been interviewing people. I think the time has come. I would be very glad. Good to see it. People must know your side of the story. I still don't believe. I was asking a lot of people, including Vipalananda the other day, I was asking him, I said, what really makes this guy work the way he works here? Dekho yaar, you are taking interviews of transporters, OEMs. Some people might say, yeah, they are giving an ad to you also. What about drivers here? Drivers are not doing anything for you. If you are doing so much for these drivers and you want to uplift those drivers, drivers can't do anything, na? So you are doing because you're really concerned about them. There's another
passion is there. Yeah.
Passion. There's another friend of mine who did a lot. I'm sure you know him, Ramesh Kumar.
Ramesh Kumar, yes.
So he did it. He did a lot, but I don't think he's now so much active.
He's active as yet.
He's still active.
Yes, he is.
He wrote good 2 books also.
Yeah.
There also I gave him this suggestion. I said, let it not only be confined, because if you can have a collaboration between various industries,
yes,
it can really make a big difference. And I don't know if you can take a lead in that. Any support you need from my side, I'll come.
We've already started writing to a lot of these companies saying that, just have basic facilities for drivers when they get to your yard or your warehouse, and tell your people to treat them with basic courtesy. I'm not saying give them respect, mat do. But the human factor jo hai, please keep that in mind.
Girish, we have to come slightly above that also now.
Let's start from there.
Yeah, I agree.
Because even that is missing.
I agree with you. So I don't know if all these people can really collaborate with each other. So because the infrastructure or the carriers which is there, they all use it. We all use it.
Absolutely.
So
everybody does.
They really need to collaborate. And I also know that collaboration is a very loosely word used these days. I must have used it 100 times in various seminars and conferences. But the problem is the same, that when you talk of collaboration, you have to have a win-win for everybody.
The entire ecosystem has to work together.
Yeah, that's important.
You've been in this industry.
So you're not editing what I said, that you need to be interviewed also. People must know.
My table is 0 edits.
People must know what really makes you tick on these things. Like I said, I really admire you're a gender neutral guy. You interview a large transporter for you, whether it's Vipul or Mukesh of Chetak are the same, which is a small guy who has got just a fleet size of 10 or 50.
Absolutely.
I've seen your interviews them also.
See, anybody in part of this
As
industry,
you guy coming to the industry, you will be there. Any, the lady coming in this business, whether she's a driver, she's a transporter, you're there. So gender neutral. So it's amazing. And people must know what really inspires you, what really, what is the whole thing about behind your passion.
so we'll do an interview on that separately. But
But I would, you should be interviewed.
I will figure that. But coming back to you, so you've been in this industry for decades now. If you had to summarize and say, okay, these are the key changes that happened over the years to date, what would these be? We spoke of a few of them. Infra happened, GST happened, but apart from that,
There's one thing which I didn't speak was also that, especially of automotive, it is happening in the other industries also, is the emergence of rail. It was a very big factor. And some of the transporters used to get upset with me also in those days. Why are you promoting them? And I said, listen, you have to bring down the load on the roads. If this kind of load stays on the roads, you'll have problem. Because at that time, we didn't have that kind of infrastructure also.
Correct. True.
And I said, we started talking about the carbon credit and all those kind of things. And today, I don't have the latest one, but I know it's 20% plus. So that is one thing which really was also game changer in those days, and I'm sure it's going to continue. And we were also blessed, I would say, as I said, we were blessed to have in the current dispensation, for high roads and highways, even in the railways also, when we used to go there and we used to come up with the problems, they were literally discussed. It's not somebody sitting there has just taken a decision. They used to discuss with you and the decisions, and that's why the results are there.
Yes.
The other thing which you're saying is, you must have heard of this Gati Shakti.
Yes.
Now, Gati Shakti is what? They say organizations should not work in silos. We all talk about it. We have been taught about it also. Should not be no silo. They are talking there should be no silos in the various ministries, whatever it is.
Correct.
So if you have applied for something and it involves 4 or 5 ministries, and it should be very transparent. You should know when it's gone from other ministry, and the other guy must know. Listen, I have to move the file or I have to move the paper. Otherwise, people can see as a complete transparency. Similar kind of thing. Although transparency is already there, when you're talking, which was not there earlier, and we have to really take it to the another next level also. If you really ask me, as I said, I still don't know what AI is going to bring. I've started studying that. Mm-hmm. In fact, only 2 days back, I had an interaction with a guy outside India who was talking about this, how AI is going to transform the whole thing. It's still in I would say, a half-cooked meal kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But people have really started working on it. And that basically they're talking of a complete dashboard, besides end-to-end, which we're talking about also, that how through this various complexities, and the other thing is the cost. Cost does not mean you reduce the salary of the people working there. Reduction of cost does not mean that you say from 4 cups of tea, let's serve only 2 cups of tea. Don't give them facilities. Don't do this. No. Cost reduction can be the other way, is the improve the efficiency.
Absolutely.
Cut the flap. There should be no wastage in the system. And that's what I have been told. It's too early. This AI module, which some people are working on, is going to bring, besides the transparency and everything, and how you can reduce the cost. And the cost is a bad word, and freight hike is also a bad word, which I'm sure. But if within the same freight, you are able to bring efficiency.
Absolutely.
It's a win-win for everybody.
Because you'll be surprised, I mean, even I'm shocked, despite all the infrastructure and the best of trucks that we have, an average transporter is doing only 7,500 to 8,500 kilometers a month, which is a shame. I mean, a 50 lakh worth of truck, and if you're running only this much, it's huge waste of resources.
Well, if it's 8,000, I would say we have come a very long way. And 8,000, what you say, again, my figures could be slightly wonky, but 8,000 is on the top of the pyramid. It's not the average still. We are still lower than that.
My goodness. I thought 7,500, 8,000 was a...
No, I don't know. Slightly, I would say this thing, but...
what would be your figure? I mean, according to you?
I still feel it's somewhere around 6.5.
Isn't that a shame?
I don't know whether
Like,
to use a
I'm
harsh
very-
word shame, but
Yeah,
you know,
but
this is where
inefficiencies.
this is, yeah, correct. Now, there were always used to be discussions, and you attended so many of those seminars, and people used to come on the stage and say, my logistics cost is 14%, mine is 15%, somebody will say 11%. I don't want to go into that, but we know that it was always in double digit.
Absolutely.
And people were talking of logistics costs in other countries, 4%, 5%. And so what is this cost? Who's paying? As I said, inefficiency. Who pays?
Somebody has to
Somebody has to
Yeah,
pay.
absolutely.
Stock on wheels, stock on this thing. Who pays? Somebody has to pay. So it has come down, the logistics cost, in the last 2-3 years. Because imagine, as I said, that now we can, people are committing from Punjab to Maharashtra, the port. Vehicle will reach in 36 hours or 40 hours. So it's what? It's an optimum utilization of the assets what you have.
But the challenge happens, once they reach their destination, 3 days, 4 days to load, unload a truck. That is where that wastage is still not being plugged.
So,
And nobody's talking about it.
no, people had been talking about it. And that is the reason in SIAM also we had started a project on this. And we used to call it Green Corridor.
Uh-huh.
And in that green corridor, what we said is, because I said it's entirely dependent on the return load factor. So it was that, we picked a few OEMs and we picked a few transporters as a project. Let's say the vehicle has left Gurgaon, and from Gurgaon it's going to Chennai. And from there it will take, I'm not going to take names of any OEM.
Right.
So it's going to take load from this thing. Because in those days, this kind of transparency was not there. But there, at least for those few trucks, we told the guy, listen, 2 days before the vehicle is supposed to arrive at in the vicinity of your plant, let's say radius of 100 kilometers, you need to plan for the load for any destination you think.
Right.
Suppose you say that, okay, I don't have a load back to Gurgaon, but I can give him a load of Pune. Fair enough.
Fair enough. Yes.
So and then what we had an understanding, you can't make a rule between the OEMs. The understanding was very clear that we will not hold the vehicle for loading and unloading for more than 24 hours.
Brilliant.
It really worked. Transporters were very happy. But there's one learning which came for all of us, which we realized. And I still say, collaboration cannot happen by OEMs only. Or rather, it cannot happen by OEMs at all. LSPs have to be in it, whether you call them 3PL, 4PL, whatever name you want to give.
They have to be.
LSPs have to be involved in this, only then this will come. A customer is not bothered. His car, when it came from the plant, the same truck was carrying vehicles of 2 other OEMs. He's not bothered.
Correct.
He's bothered. He should get it on time without any dents, scratches, or any problem. That's only what he needs. So, we realize it, and now, again, without taking names, all this collaboration which is having even in railways also, do you think if you have, it's easy to get a customer for 250 vehicles for one single billing? Not possible. LSPs are collaborating, things are moving. So things are really, Gish, it's collaboration, and collaboration. In any way, I sometimes give a very Indian example for that. Just think of a housewife. So there is a family of 4, husband, wife, 2 children. And if all 4 of them get up in the morning and say, I want these 2 dishes and I won't touch any other dish, what will happen? Oh, lady will be in the kitchen whole day. True. So we all need to collaborate. We need to understand that, listen, I have to adjust someday.
Absolutely.
I can't win every day. So I adjust, okay, she says, okay, this is what I think. These are 3-4 options. Let's decide and I'll prepare those 2 and we all agree for it and we eat it.
Brilliant example, actually.
I don't know.
But the 3 stints in the auto industry, Tata Motors as marketing and sales, then you had your logistics and then the consulting part. Which one was the most challenging and the most enjoyable one?
Well, I'm enjoying now.
We'll come to this also.
So I would say all of them had their own share of challenges.
But in terms of tackling, which one was like, okay, this is easier than the rest?
No, nothing. Nothing comes easy these days. And I would say the real enjoyment used to be when you're able to overcome those challenges and then you come victorious.
Absolutely.
So anything, as I said, I have always, whenever I've changed a company, I have not changed many. I am one of those from old school of thoughts.
Yes. So very few people like you these days.
So, as I said, from consumer products like Hindustan Lever, and you move to Philips, where I handle various product lines, the lighting, and
Right.
we used to have the radios, transistors, televisions. And when I left Philips, my last assignment was the national sales manager for consumer electronics. And then from there, I moved to Tata Motors. So when I changed the company, I changed the industry. Right. And I have a very clear this thing. So when you go to a new industry, learning is always there. And you always feel, you start thinking, have I done the right thing? Have I done the wrong thing? But then when you are into it, you just have to be into it fully. And then when you overcome those things, overcome those challenges, and you feel now I've got a grip of everything. I think that's a very, very enjoyable moment. So all my assignments, all my job responsibility, but it's not that in Tata Motors or in Philips or my earlier organization, I was just doing one role. I kept on changing the roles, kept on changing geographies. I have traveled the whole country, I would say. Posted there, not only just traveling, posted there.
Brilliant. But I've been witness to the fact that, you have made a difference to the automobile industry on the whole. I mean, I talk to so many transporters and they're like, Prem sir has taught us so much. So you've spent time with the old gen and now you have the new gen coming in. How different it is dealing with these?
New gen, sometimes you feel scared also.
You don't know what will come.
You don't know what kind of questions they are going to come up with. And sometimes you literally have to say, hey, guy, please teach me. And I really need to know from you.
Right.
So, but it's an amazing experience interacting with them. Quite a few of them have studied abroad. So their horizon is entirely, completely broadened horizon. And they will not take your answer on the face value. They will discuss. They will need to know why, and you have to convince them, or they will convince you. So it's very simple. It's not what used to be 20 years ago when you go on to the owner of this thing and say, no, this is what you have to do. And he'll say, okay, sir, you'll do it. This generation doesn't. They need to, because they don't even, they do the same thing with their own father also must be doing. They do it sometimes in front of us also. Because if we say, no, this is how we have been doing it for so many years. He says, no, I want to do it differently. And that's
and fair enough. That change is required.
Whenever I interact, I had gone to IIM Nagpur for an interaction on the logistics. Mm-hmm. You won't believe, I came back much more wiser. They knew so many things which I didn't know, the latest ones, you see. So I always end up learning something new from them.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you very much, Girish. It was a real pleasure talking to you.
An hour probably doesn't do justice to capture the experience of Mr. Prem Verma. You could sit with him for hours to learn from his experiences and how he managed to make logistics efficient from wherever it was. He's a close friend to many transporters, especially those operating in the logistics segment, and that friendship is evident from the way you see them meet, greet, and respect Mr. Prem Verma. We hope to have more engagements with Mr. Prem Verma, where we get to capture more of his wisdom and experience. But this interaction was truly memorable. We will be back again next week with yet another interesting interaction. You have been watching Trans India, Real People, Real Emotions. Until next week, stay safe and drive safe. Jai Hind.